Welcome to our monthly support group leader roundtable. We have a great program for you today. Your friend Clemmy Pizzillo here to facilitate this session with all of you today. So we are going to get started reviewing our collaboration agreements. And this is just a reminder that this monthly gathering is to exchange insights and build relationships. We have some experienced support group leaders here. We have some new support group leaders here, and we are here to exchange ideas, learn from each other, and maybe you find a friend that you can do this journey together with. So listen deeply. You never know what you're going to learn in these amazing roundtables. For today's chat storm, we want to know, let's get those fingers warm and ready to share your ideas. What's one small action a leader or group member can take that makes people feel welcome? What have you done in your group to make people feel welcome? I think it's very important to learn and use people's names. So having name tags when people arrive, it's a good way to start building those relationships. So all your ideas, you can start typing them in the chat. Smiling and making eye contact always makes people feel welcome. Hopefully we're doing that already, and I am pretty sure we're doing that. We can also check with someone who has been absent for a while. They are going to feel missed. And at last month's support group leader roundtable, this was a big one that we talked about. How about having a greeter in our room, one of our members, to say hi to everyone and shake their hand and tell them how happy you are that they are here. So let's see some of your responses now that I gave you some time to type. So we have some ideas here. Call or email them after their first meeting. That is wonderful. Nothing like a good phone call to make them feel welcome. Name badges, yay! Read your mind, Gail. Help find something the new person has in common with an existing member to help them feel a connection early. That is a wonderful idea. They may like martial arts, or they are big readers, or they are into music, and they have that instant connection and affinity for something they like. How about having a personal reach out, call, coffee, partner in exercise group? Thank you, Karen, for sharing that. How about ask if there are 3 items they like to cover before we start? That is a good idea too. We want to know what's in our minds right now. Invite them to share their name, year of diagnosis, and any questions they have. A wonderful idea. Thank you, Karen, for that. Oh, yes, I agree, Susan. Cookies and smoothies. Nothing like food to make people feel welcome, right? I'm totally with you on that one. And Judy shares, we greet them at the door and give them name tags. We also send a follow-up email. Wonderful. Thank you. Another idea from Gail, giving each person a chance to talk at some meeting. Yes, we definitely need to do that. That's why we are a group. We are all participating there. And Gregory says, discussing with the group the meaning of your group's name. Oh, there you go. 3085 Thrive. Thank you, Greg, for that. Another one we have, I email all new people after the meeting to welcome them and provide additional information about our group. Yes, we may have some, uniqueness about our groups that we want all the new members to know. Yes, Dave, know them by name and listen to them. Let them know you care. Thank you. Wise words, Dave. And I ask if I can take their picture to add to their file in my contact list. That is good too, because some of us are visual and we want to see a face to remember who they are. So that is a wonderful idea. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your thoughts, your ideas. And now we're going to move forward with today's session. And next in our program, we have a quick poll. Yes, who doesn't like to answer Zoom questions? So we have 3 questions for today. Number 1, how often do you intentionally gather feedback from your community or group? Do you do it regularly, occasionally, only when there is an issue? Like, people are not showing up to the group meetings and you don't know why? Or do you do it every 6 months? You have it on your calendar, like January and June, I'm doing a survey. Or it's a monthly meeting, like I'm going to stay after a meeting and talk to someone and kind of get a feel for how things are going in the group. Are they feeling like they are part, like they belong?
Hey,
Question number 2.
Clemmy, I'm having trouble with the poll again. It keeps dropping off on me. It pops up on my screen, then it goes away, and then it pops up. It won't let me fill anything out.
Okay, we're going to see if Amanda can help us with that.
Every time I move the mouse, it goes away.
Oh, must be a setting on your screen.
Yeah, let me try removing you as a co-host, Judy, and then try to answer the poll and see if that works.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that, Amanda. Then question number 2, what's your biggest challenge when gathering feedback? Oh, yeah, that is a big one, especially if we are doing surveys. We know that people don't tend to answer. Maybe we get 4 or 5% of people that we send out the survey answer. So, but at least it's a way to get some feedback. Or receiving honest feedback. Ouch, we don't know. Knowing what questions to ask. That's why we are here. We may get some ideas about that, what to do. And then we have question number 3. Which method do you use most often to gather input? Ooh, this is going to be a big one. And we're going to have one of our speakers giving us more ideas about this question as well. Like we mentioned, can be one-on-one conversations, or maybe with a whole group. Hey, everyone, in one of the meetings, we're going to talk about how we're doing as a group and what can we do differently to improve membership or to include more activities. That is a great idea. Or doing surveys in forms, just asking via email, or a suggestion box like the old days. Have a private box and drop your note and let me know how things are going. So thank you everyone for answering those questions, and let's see what kind of responses we are getting. So question number 1, how often do you intentionally gather feedback from your community or group? Most of you, 50% of you, are doing it regularly, and 36% of you are doing occasionally. So this is group wonderful. Seems like, only maybe one of our participants today rarely or never does a survey. So we have some experts here that can share ideas about gathering feedback. Number 2, what's your biggest challenge gathering feedback? Most of you, 63% of you, said getting people to respond. Yeah. So maybe today we can come up with some ideas on how to improve that. And number 3, which method do you use most often to gather input? 63% of you said conversations. Yay! And 24% of you said surveys or forms. That is wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for sharing, your feedback with us. So we're going to move on to today's topic. It's all about gathering feedback. And to talk about that, we have 2 very special guest speakers today. And they are fellow support group members who attend this gathering regularly. And we have Judy Reynolds. We know Judy is from Arizona. Welcome, Judy. Thank you for being here. Judy leads a few groups, and one of them with PMD Alliance as well. And she leads some groups in person, online, and she does social gatherings as well, get-outs, monthly get-outs. Let's get together for pizza and meet each other. And if you want to learn more about Judy and how to connect with her, you can scan the QR code right there, and it will take you to her ambassador page with PMD Alliance. And to support Judy, because, we always like to have a co-leader in these meetings, we have a special guest, Amy Larocca. She's in Ohio, and she's a speech therapist. She's the owner of Polaris Speech, and she leads a few support groups, and she also runs a class for Parkinson's 101, and we are hoping that that class is going to be available very soon to our general audience. So we'll keep you posted on that. Thank you both for being here. And again, if you want to learn more about Amy, you can scan the QR code, and that will take you to her page with Polaris Speech. So to get started, I'm going to pass the baton to our good friend, Judy. Welcome, Judy. Where are you?
I'm
Take
up here.
it away. Thank
I'm
you,
hiding
everyone.
away. Yes. Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
That's it. It's all mine now. Okay, you can all go home. No. Hi, everyone. Hey, I just wanted to let you know ahead of time. I don't know what I'm doing. And I just got out of the hospital like a week ago from surgery, so my brain is a little bit fried. So if you don't mind, I'm going to read a lot of my commentary instead of looking like I'm ad-libbing. And let me just say this. I was diagnosed in September of 2014 and with Parkinson's disease. And my first instinct was to get on my computer and search for information. I knew nothing. And doing so, I discovered there was a support group coming up like a week later. I'd never been to one in my life, but I thought, well, maybe I can go and find out get information from people that have Parkinson's. And that was the beginning of my long relationship with support groups. I picked the best one I could have possibly entered for the first time. And they told me about another group that had a large membership. I went to that one and then learned about another one and so on. And then one day I saw a flyer inviting people to come to a meeting to hear about a new organization. Guess who it was? The PMD Alliance, Sarah Jones, Judy Talley. They were offering free pizza, so of course I went. And followed them around the state for a while, getting free pizza whenever I had the chance. And as time went on, I ended up joining them. And what I learned was, and I took a lot of their support group training back in the beginning, which was, if any of you have not done so, that's a great place to learn how to do all this. And I learned, though, in going to all these different support groups, I learned that there are different ways to run a support group. You can have it just once a month and always have a speaker, which is one I go to. You can have it every week and only have an occasional speaker, which is what I like to do. Or you can have a big group, a small group, an in-person, a Zoom, a combination of the two, pretty much anything you want, whatever works for you. And you can choose to micromanage it, by having lots of forms and lots of databases and all that, or you can do it my way, which is almost nothing. Which I keep saying, why am I here? I don't do anything. But it turns out that, yes, I do. I have a sign-in sheet. I have a gentleman whose wife had Parkinson's, and she passed away several months ago, but he keeps coming and working with me, which I find, if you've got people coming back after the spouse dies, you're doing something right. He came back and said, I really want to stay with the group. This is my family. And so he takes over all my emails, and he's really good at it because he's an ex-insurance salesman. So when he sends the emails out, he always starts out with a little cartoon or a joke, and he's just got a really great way of sharing information. So I have him do most of that for me. We also created a sign-up sheet. Most people have a sign-in sheet. We also have a sign-up sheet, and I can send it to people, anybody interested. What we did was we put all across the top of the sheet is all the different things we need help with, making coffee, bringing donuts, things like that. And then each sheet covers a month. So there's across the top is the different tasks, and then down the side is week 1, week 2, all the way through to week 5 for the months that have 5 weeks. And then each month you can fill out in December if you want. There's a page there for every month, and if you're going to be gone all summer like they do here, and you're not coming back to November, you can sign up for November right now today. And the sign-up sheets are on a clipboard, and you can just, I pass, excuse me, every time I start a meeting, I hand it to the first table, and they pass it around the room while the meeting's going on, and people sign up or not, whatever. So I never, confront anyone. I just put it out there. That's worked really good, especially for people buying donuts and bringing. We also do a donation box, and that money goes toward whatever supplies or donations we need. And if we have money, excuse me, we actually opened up a checking account, checking account. And we have a treasurer now who keeps track of our money, because people aren't getting, when they bring the donuts, they aren't taking money out of the donation, which we offer them. But most times they just don't take the money. So we've got like money now in an account. So it can get a little bit like that. It just sort of takes a life of its own depending on your members, I think. And the group I facilitate now is 20 to 45 people, and we have a meeting every Friday. So we give people the opportunity. The group they were in before, the company that was facilitating them before, was only meeting in person once a month. And if you missed that meeting, you had to wait a whole month. And people wanted to go back to every week like we were before COVID. So I kind of adopted the group, and we went back to every Friday morning. And people that can't come can come next week. So it's not like they have to miss a whole week. It's worked out really well. And we have speakers about 1 or 2 times a month, sometimes more if we get a lot of offers that we can't refuse. And we allow them between 30 and 45 minutes to talk. So we have time to either talk among ourselves or ask questions when the meetings, when their speech is over. Some of them, the marketing ones especially, tend to keep running on. So they're a little harder to turn off, but they bring a lot of good donuts, so we put up with it. Anyway, so we also do, on our sign-up sheets, we like to get information also on the care partner, if there is a care partner, because if we lose track or lose touch with a patient, then we have another way of reaching out, because we've lost touch with a few people back a few years ago, and we never could find them, and still don't know what happened. So that's what we try to do. Let me see here. I lost my own notes here. We do send a follow-up email. I think I put that in the chat. And we always welcome them with a follow-up email. I try to get their pictures so I can remember who they are, because 40, 50 people. I remember the name, but I can't always put the face and name together. The iPhone has that, the contact list. You can easily put a picture of everybody in there. So I try to do that. It helps when they walk in the door and you know who they are. So I think that's a really good. It's good to do, and it doesn't require any paperwork. And most people don't mind you taking their picture. So we do a lot of notifications of any events. We have a lot of, Phoenix is a pretty active Parkinson's community here. We have 3 research centers in the Phoenix area. We've got, we've got Barrows, we've got Banner Sun Health, and we've got Mayo Clinic. All 3 of them are doing Alzheimer, Parkinson's research. So we've got a lot of MDSs here, more than probably any other city that I know of, but a lot anyway. Well, I don't remember. I don't have an exact number. But just over here in Sun City, I think there's 3 or 4, something like that. So we're pretty lucky that way. And we do have a lot of different events that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a Parkinson's event. It could be some other activity that we think that the group might be interested in. The congregation where we have our meetings, they occasionally will have a Sunday afternoon music, and I make sure that the group hears about that too, so they can go to that. So we try to not always be talking about our disease. We try to spread it out, and anything that we actually had, we have a member whose son is the chief of police of one of our cities nearby. And I actually asked him to come and talk to the group about how the police handle when they stop somebody that appears to be intoxicated or whatever. And he was so interested in our little I am not intoxicated cards, the Parkinson Foundation hands out or used to hand out. He was so interested in those, he asked me to get some for him so he could make sure all of his officers had one or some. So I thought that was a kind of an off-the-cuff meeting that just turned out to be he was wonderful, and everybody was asking him good questions. And so, you need to sort of step outside the box, I think, when you're trying to keep a group alive and interested, and that works well for us also. Let's see. Trying to see where anybody have any questions yet? So I'm looking at my notes. Where did I leave off? So yeah, we do all of our contact list is also in a spreadsheet. What's the name of that spreadsheet? Excel spreadsheet, sorry, at which my helper, my email guy also keeps track of all that. And he has a copy and I have a copy and no one else has a copy. When we send our emails out, we do not include everybody's name. We do it all with blind carbon copy. So your information is not shared with the group unless you want to share it. So that's important to a lot of people. So let me think. I think the most difficult part is getting help. That's the one thing. I started this group about a year ago, April, and we started with 19 people, and we're up to the most we've had is like around 45, I think, for one meeting. And I have been making a point of bringing up in every meeting that this is your support group, not my support group. And that if you want it to continue, you all have to be involved at some point. But everybody's always afraid to do the part where you're facilitating. I know I was petrified the first time somebody handed me a camera. My hand shook, or a microphone. My hand shook so bad I couldn't hold the microphone still. So there is a learning curve there. But it's once you, I think, are in a group for a while, you really know everybody. And everybody knows you. It's not like you're up in front of a group of strangers. So it's like you're talking to family almost. And I did finally, sorry. Oh, I thought I heard some. I did finally get someone to cover for me, but they kind of had to because I was having surgery. So the only Friday I ever missed was the Friday after my surgery. My surgery was on Thursday. And my son, oh, go ahead, whoever. Somebody said they had a question.
Yeah, we'll ask them to please type the questions in the chat, so that way we're not interrupting. But if you, Pat, can please type it in the chat, that would be great.
Okay, I apologize. I'm sorry.
Questions to Judy.
That's okay.
So like Judy's, a couple of questions in the chat is about how you gather feedback from your groups, the different groups that you run, and if they are open for people with Parkinson's and caregivers.
Is that for me? That's the question?
Yes, for you.
Oh, our group is for anybody connected with Parkinson's or any movement disorder. And I call the group Parkinson's and Coffee. I was trying to change the name from the old name because people saw the old name and went to the wrong address. So, because we did have to move it. So I gave it a whole new name so there wouldn't be a confusion, which there sometimes still is, but we don't include anybody outside of the Parkinson basic community, I guess. But we're pretty broad about what that community is. If you're a physical therapist and you want to come to our meetings, and if you're working with people with Parkinson's, you can come to our meetings. So it's a pretty loose connection. So
beautiful. There is another question for you.
Oh, okay.
And that says, Judy, is your Get Out program sponsored by a pharma or device company? Do they send a rep and do they pass out materials?
Good Lord. Who asked that?
Lauren.
I haven't talked about my pizza yet.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and you have about 2 minutes.
Oh,
Judy.
okay. Whoa, that's great. I was worried I wouldn't talk long enough. Let me get back to this, wrap this up, and then I'll answer the pizza question. So I was saying that when I had to have the surgery on Thursday, there was no way I could get up Friday and go to the meeting. Obviously, my grandkids threatened me that don't you dare think about getting up tomorrow and going. And I thought, what a great chance to turn it over. So I did turn it, and the gal that stepped up and did it was somebody that I have been kind of grooming her because her husband has Parkinson's. She's very healthy and very interested, and they show up all the time. She ticked all the boxes, kind of somebody that I thought would be able to do it. And she did a great job. Everybody thought it was great. She did a little exercise thing, and so it all went very well. And so sometimes you have to keep kind of prodding at people a little bit, give them little things to do to help, and then eventually they step up, and that's what. So now I have one backup person now, so I feel a little better. It's when you have Parkinson's and you're already a senior citizen with Parkinson's and running one of these, you have to have backup. Things happen, So anyway, I have also I let my members. So I'm getting feedback from someone also. I let my members know that there is some really good training on the PMD Alliance website. I plug that as often as I can, by the way. And that, sometimes you need that training really helps a lot with getting started and running a support group. So pizza night, I wrote this whole thing up in the middle of the night, as I said, and I must not have been hungry because I never mentioned my pizza night. But there goes that. Anyway, pizza night, we have the second Monday of every month. We have a get out pizza party, and there is no discussion of diseases. We just have a good time. And it is paid for, sponsored by Joey, who is a Medtronic's technician. I'm not sure what his exact title is. He's the guy that programs your DBS after you've had it installed by Medtronics. And he comes every second Monday, and he pays for all of our pizzas, and he'll keep paying until we stop eating. And we got lucky. The restaurant we go to, it just loves us over there. And I mean, we have 60 or 70 people show up on that Monday late afternoon. And they make us cookies. They'll give us a big fruit salad. I mean, they prepare all this extra food now for us to have because we have some members who don't like pizza. And so, they'll say, oh, I don't go to pizza because I don't eat pizza. No, we have other food. Sometimes she makes a big crock pot of pasta. So it's, we have a really good setup there. And and then the donations that we get from that event I send to the PMD Alliance to help fund some of their other activities, I guess. Well, I don't know what they do with it, but
thank you for that donation, Judy. So helpful. And can you tell us a little bit about your feedback and what your group said when you mentioned that you were going to be talking about gathering feedback?
Well, that's what's funny. One of my group members is here spying on us, by the way. I just noticed. Anyway, I was telling my online support group. I have an online support group every Tuesday called Resilience. It's in the PMD Alliance record. Oops, I just lost you, Clemmy. Oh, there it is. Does that mean I have to shut up? I can't hear you at all. Where'd you go?
I am here. I am just waiting for you to give us the cue to read the letter.
Okay, my screen was bouncing. Anyway, I told them I didn't think I did anything and I wasn't sure what to say in this meeting. And I got a letter back from one of my members, and I can't read it because it makes me cry, but I think it's out there for everybody to read. Is that right? All right. Thank you, guys.
Correct. And our friend Amanda is going to help us reading the letter. Go ahead, Amanda.
I am the hard-hearted one who said that they could probably read it without crying. So let's see. Hello, everyone. My name is Martina. I am 47 years old, and I was diagnosed with PD in 2018 at the age of 39. I am from Croatia, a country with a population of just under 4 million, so the number of people diagnosed at a younger age is also small. After the initial shock, despair, and depression following the death of a friend with the same diagnosis, I began looking for support groups last year, but there aren't any in my country. I found a group in the UK, but it meets only once a month. Then I discovered a multitude of groups in the USA, which is a bit inconvenient due to the time difference. That is how I found the Resilience Support Group from PMD Alliance, which meets every Tuesday at 10 p.m. European time. The group leader and moderator is Judy Reynolds. At the last meeting, she told us about an upcoming online meeting for group leaders where she was supposed to talk about what she does. She said to us, "But I don't do anything." I told her, "But Judy, you do everything." And she truly does do everything. It is just somewhat difficult to put into words without sounding like a cliche. Judy is relaxed and talkative despite her own health issues. She always finds a topic for conversation, not just things related to PD. Everyone gets a chance to speak and share their thoughts, whether it is me, since I don't speak English very well, or a member with significant speech difficulties. Judy tries to understand with incredible patience, and she usually succeeds. When someone seeks information or help, they can be certain that Judy will give it her all. If they don't get an answer immediately, they will get one at the next meeting. Judy has an incredible capacity for compassion and empathy, yet she never makes you feel like she's piteous of you. Positive energy and optimism simply radiate from her, even when she isn't feeling well or even when she cracks a bit of dark, ironic humor. That is the power of a great facilitator, making someone from another continent who is about 30 years younger than the rest and has only intermediate language skills look forward to Tuesdays all week long. Although I regularly attend 2 other support groups, this one remains my absolute favorite thanks to our wonderful Judy Reynolds. Thank you, Judy.
I could never read that out loud.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing that feedback, Judy. There is an organic way to receive feedback from our members as well. A conversation, a letter, a note, a flower. We are doing something right, and they appreciate it. So thank you for that, Judy.
Thank you.
And we're going to welcome our next speaker, Amy.
Hello, everyone. I feel like that's a hard act to follow, though, Judy. You do so much and are always so wonderful in sharing your knowledge and expertise. So I'm a little bit more methodical. I have to have my slides in front of me. So I am a speech language pathologist by trade. I am not a person with Parkinson's, and I'm very aware of the challenges and considerations that requires as a support group leader. And so I always go by this, phrase that hopefully everybody has already heard of, the nothing about us without us. So when Clemmy told me that they were doing a talk about surveys and getting feedback, I thought, ooh, that's something that is near and dear to my heart, because I tell my people all the time, I have knowledge on topics and information, but I am not an expert in the lived experience. And so I tell them, I need you to give me feedback, to tell me what you need, what you are interested in, what information would be helpful, and I am willing to do the work to bring that to you. So that's kind of the basis of my support group. So I have an online support group called the Polaris Parkinson's Community. We are completely virtual. We meet once a week We are small and but mighty. We have anywhere from like 8 to 24 people that attend, but most weeks we're in that 10 to 12 area. Mine are mostly, I'm located in Northeast Ohio, just outside of Cleveland, and that's where the majority of my people are. We have some people that join when they can from Martha's Vineyard and Tennessee and different places like that. It is majority men. There are 2 to 3 care partners that join with their person with Parkinson's, or they join by themselves. And it's been going on for about 5 years now. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of the background. So when I'm kind of giving you suggestions or, telling you about how I survey my people, and kind of how we share and collaborate, it's coming from that smaller support group perspective and all virtual. So my support group is called Polaris Parkinson's Community because it's Polaris Speech is my speech therapy practice. And for the first couple of years, I realized that didn't capture it wasn't their identity, it was my identity. And so they wanted to put together a logo and they wanted to make it their own. So we actually spent a couple of meetings with them telling me we kind of did a word bubble, and they put in what did they think of when they thought of the meeting. And so I would take that information, put it into a logo, come back to them, and we'd tweak it. And so this is what they determined. This was back, I think, 3 years ago. This is what they wanted. They wanted to keep Polaris, but they wanted to make sure that people knew what we were about: connection, support, and knowledge. And so all of that came from them and them giving the group an identity, which as a person that does not have Parkinson's, I wanted to make sure they felt this was their group, because it is. I'm just here that's what I tell them all the time. I'm just here to keep the conversation flowing, but they are the ones that are the heart of what we do. And so every year we revisit this and see what else, do they want to change the hands? Do they feel like it's, shifted or morphed, kind of evolved into something different? And we keep kind of coming back to this. So there are some kind of more informal ways that I get feedback from them. I mean, we have touch points almost, kind of almost every week as topics come up, as challenges come up. I keep my ear out of what are some different topics, what are some different things that might be beneficial for them, depending on what they're voicing during meetings. So, my other challenge is, how often do I do a formal to make sure that I'm truly capturing everybody's feedback? And I always go to research of, when I'm not quite sure when or how I should do things, I try to look into research to see, well, how often are we supposed to be? What is beneficial for support groups? And so WHO and CDC both just say kind of intermittent, so kind of progressive throughout a project, that they specify the importance of stakeholder input to periodically, that is to quote, periodically and throughout a program to elicit feedback, but they don't have any specific frequency. And then I went to Dr. Robert Cochran, who is a very good friend of PMDA, and he has done a big survey of support groups, but I couldn't find anything specific in there as far as what he found. But his information was more that the people in support groups appreciated being treated as partners rather than passive recipients. And then they appreciated facilitators who listened and adapted programming based on participants' experience. So those are the things, that I try to keep in mind when coming up with topics and for discussions or guest speakers. So initially I didn't do formal surveys. Probably for the first couple of years. It was very much just organically from feedback within sessions. But I honestly think it was after I attended the All-In conference and heard Dr. Cochran talk about feedback. I thought, I do listen, but I don't know that I make it apparent that I'm listening. And so I made it more formal. So where in January, we always have done the January planning meeting, kind of the year kickoff. In December, we talk about looking back at their goals, their accomplishments. We talk about that. But then in January, we turn it to the group of where do they want to look forward? What goals do we have for our support group? What are some topics? Do they feel like the 3 pillars that they decided on in 2023 still fits with what fits their journey with Parkinson's now? And so we do an in-meeting conversation. And then I record, and I'll show you a little bit about my nerdiness of how I keep track of things. And then sometime in June or July, I send out a Google form so that my more quieter people who may not be comfortable speaking up as much or may not, people can put in information into the form. It's completely anonymous if they want it to be. And sometimes some of the more sensitive topics, I feel like my gentlemen are less, I sometimes can be less outward in talking about sensitive topics or bringing them up, but they'll put it into the Google form. And so it gives that opportunity. And so and I saw the types of questions was one of the questions in the survey at the beginning of the meeting. Somebody asked about not really being sure of what types of questions to ask. So again, I don't know what's right or wrong, but this is what I do. I ask, because we have weekly meetings, so I ask if the frequency still matches what they are wanting or feel that they need, the format of the meeting, the topics requested, any guest speakers, and then I always invite a co-facilitator. As somebody that does not have Parkinson's, I would love to have a person with Parkinson's co-facilitate with me. But in 5 years, this past June was the first time I've had somebody say, well, maybe I would occasionally co-facilitate, which I jumped up and celebrated. So, so those are kind of, and I'll show you mine here in a second as well. I'll show you my survey and what I do with it from there as well. I did, if you're going to share out the PowerPoint, you'll have these instructions. If you haven't used a Google survey before, I kind of put in descriptions of how to walk through step by step to hopefully help you feel more comfortable to do it. But it has the link to go. I'll show you really quickly if we have time how to do it. And then after that, you can send the responses straight into Google Sheets. So it goes into a spreadsheet and you can see exactly how people responded. And then in that spreadsheet, I have one Google Sheet book that has different pages. And let me see if I can switch over. Let me stop sharing. And then I will show you do I have time for this, Clemmy? Okay, 2 minutes, perfect. All right, so this is my Polaris Parkinson's community brain. It is not pretty. It's not like color coded. That is, I would love to be a type A person, but I am not. But I also need to keep track of things in my head. So this is where my brain dumps into. So this first one is when I have more formal check-ins. So either in-person meetings, I didn't start recording all of this in an actual place until the beginning of last year, 2025. But these were topics that they had talked about in the meeting. And then my surveys, I kind of put whatever topics they identify and how many people said that they wanted those topics. So these are more topics for my meetings. And then any additional ones throughout the year, I'll come back in and throw in if there's specific conversations, specific requests. And then specific people that I want to reach out to be guest speakers. And then this is my, what did we do when, who did we have? So this is kind of a recording of each of our meetings each week, the topic, and then how many people attended. Because I have Zoom, I don't have a sign-in sheet or anything, but I can go and see, so that I don't have to do this every week, but I like to try to go in once a month, to be able to put in the information and then look ahead and plan ahead, with who's coming and what's going on. So I have everything kind of in one sheet, going back years. The survey gets exported. When I typed in that Google form, I could say send to Sheets, and it creates this beautiful. So these are all of the questions in my form. So how frequently do you attend? So that I knew who was responding, as far as like, is it somebody that's just on my email list that's never really attended? This last one, he just started coming. And I know that because he was the one who said, I will help co-facilitate. Just said, yay. And then how satisfied are you with the format? So I typically do about 10 minutes of check-in in the beginning if I have a speaker or a topic, and then 20 minutes of education, and then 30 minutes for discussion, sharing, suggestions. I always get there, kind of gather their opinions. And then if it's a big speaker like Dr. Dorsey or, an author, the next week we also have a discussion and feedback, so they feel like they can openly talk, and not just with the speaker there. And then I ask them to rate various different aspects. So the relevance of the topics to their current needs, the variety of topics presented, depth of information provided, balance of check-ins and sharing, and then how often do they feel that they would like to meet. And then there's a checklist of select all that apply of different topics and what they feel would be beneficial. And then I just copy and paste this and put it into AI, and they tell me how many people designated each of the different topics. And then I give them free writing of further comments, suggestions, anything like that. And then any suggestions for speakers or topics, and then the co-facilitator. So that is, let me make sure you're still seeing. Good. So this is what the Google form looks like on my end, as we create it. And you can edit it, you can rearrange, you can do different types of questions. It's actually very user-friendly now, because you can type into, I'm hoping, yeah. So if you do a blank form, like I said on the slides, you can type into here and just describe exactly what you want. So you can put a paragraph of, I would like to survey a support group for people with Parkinson's to find out if they like the content, if they like the format, what are the different aspects you would like to find information about. Press create, and it literally, that is how I use mine. And I changed wording. I added an intro. I changed it, but this created all the different types of questions. It made it so much easier. So don't be afraid to use, something like this to help get you started. I think that's it. And I'd be happy to answer questions. I'm always happy if people reach out afterwards too.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for, suggesting having a co-facilitator. If you have noticed, the format of PMD Alliance roundtables the last few months is we always have two co-leaders, one person with Parkinson's and one without, because that is something that we can start practicing in our groups as well. So thank you for mentioning that. And as well, the use of AI, it's here to help us. It's all about how we use it. Is it making our work more efficient? Then here it is to help us. So if you have any questions for Amy or Judy, please type them in the chat. And following today's topic, We have a survey for all of you. If you can help us answering that survey, it's only a few questions, and it's a survey about how we're doing with the support group leader roundtables. Because, you know, just like you, we want to improve, we want to do better. So please help us answering that survey. You can click at the link in the chat, or also you can scan the QR code and it will take you to that survey. And it will be available with our recording as well. So anyone who watches it can answer the recording. So as you think about your questions for Amy and Judy also, and you finish answering this survey, we're going to get ready to go into our breakout rooms, which is the core of these gatherings, exchanging ideas with each other. So we're going to go into different groups, about 5 people per group, and we want you to share insights about, you know, what the takeaways for your group, so that we can suggest and give ideas to other group leaders attending here today and watching the recording later, what they can do to get more information from their group and to kind of, you know, keep a pulse on how are things going, what we need to improve, what we need to change or keep going the same way. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And Amanda, who's here helping us, she is going to help us with the breakout rooms. You're going to see a screen pop up and you're going to say join. It's randomly selected who you end up with in the breakout room. And if you need any help, let us know. Please, in your room, designate a note taker so that when we come back in about, what time is it right now? In about 30 something minutes? Yeah, in about, no, 28 minutes when we come back, we can share those insights, the takeaways, the practical ideas that we can share with the rest of the group. So happy chatting, everyone. Whenever you're ready, send us away, Amanda. Thank you. And we can also pause the recording to gather your feedback. So let's see how those conversations went in the breakout rooms. And we're going to start in order. So group 1, who would like to share what you talk about? What is the takeaway from your conversation? In room 1, we had Bob, Laura, and Myra. Who's going to represent that group?
Yeah, we and Amy came in too. Also, what I learned is Laura Crawford was in there, and she wrote a book, a great looking book. I don't know if you've seen it, but we're gonna try and get a copy of it and get it out to everybody. It's very, very explanatory. There she is, showing it to you. C is for caregivers.
Yeah,
And
caregivers.
it's very interesting. Also, expanded upon a little bit on the Amy's pillars of a group. I've never thought about that before, but that's a great idea. And you're and so I got that a little bit, and then we pretty much kind of just talked about symptoms and stuff like that. We didn't come up with anything really earth shattering for how to run your group. So we kind of got off base. You might want to, Myra, did you do you want to add anything to that?
Doesn't seem like, but that is okay. That it's a great takeaway. The pillars of the group, so important to have an identity for the community so they know why they are coming to that group. So thank you for that, Bob, and welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see group number 2. Oh, that was a big group we had. Greg and Lucy and Sarah and William. So who's the spokesperson for that group? I would take a guess, but I don't want to assume. So who's representing? Did you guys design a note taker?
I thought Greg said he was going to do it.
I would have thought Greg would do it too. Hey, Greg, you're on the spotlight now. Tag your it. What did your group talk about? And I'm going to ask you to unmute.
All right. Well, we came up with a cure for Parkinson's, but we're not going to share with everyone else.
Oh my gosh.
No, 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 no. No, Sarah and William and I had a good conversation. I think all of us would agree that the support groups take on the personality and the vibrancy of the people who run it. And we talked about, does it matter whether you do it once a week or twice, once every other week or once a month? And the answer is, I don't think it really matters. I think if you don't like what you have as an option, then certainly feel free to go out there and fire away and start your own group. Yeah. William came up with a great idea, and that was to get a video of all the really good speakers that every one of us, because in our group we talked about, hey, I've got a great speaker for grief, and I've got a great speaker for Medicare, and I've got a great speaker for various symptoms. I think it would be very helpful for a lot of us support group leaders if we had like a PMD Alliance approved or whatever. I don't know what you'd call it, but a short little 3-minute video so you get a flavor of how the person reacts and talks, because that's what we're all, pretty much looking for. As far as everybody's style of support group leading, I'm not very administrative. I don't know how to type. I don't know how to do anything. So I just read and, send out an agenda a week ahead of time and tell everybody read the agenda. When we get together, we are not going to talk about the agenda or read it together. I assume everyone can do that on their own time. We're going to talk about the impact of the agenda and whether that's what do we got to do at a state or federal level for advocacy. I mentioned that in my group, we followed the acronym of CHEERS. So C is for community, H is for hope, E is for exercise, E is for education, R is for research programs going on, and then S is for self-efficacy. Just go do it. What are you going to go do? We talked about the structure of our meetings. We talked about holding annual educational symposiums. And again, how I think PMD Alliance could really help us is if we put together that each of us, because all three of us have had Parkinson's for 30 some years. Yikes. But if we had that resource that, hey, I want to have a speaker on hospitalization, I want a speaker on grief or some. If we had a place we could go to find that, boy, that'd really help us out. So, Sarah and William, anything else you want to add?
That that is great. And we'll take that into account. Remember that also PMD Alliance has the online library available in our YouTube channel where you can type a topic that you're interested about and find that talk, and you can watch it with your group. And also keeping in mind, it's always important to be connected to our local resources, because if something comes up, I can go see that provider. So, for us to verify every provider in the country will be hard, but suggestions from leaders like you, it's so powerful. And also asking your support group members, they go and visit those doctors. Like in my group, we talk a lot about physical therapists, because we're always going to the physical therapist. Why do they like this one more than the other one? And can you get in? Can you get an appointment? Are they open on weekends? So they are your best resource also, and they are going to be vetted by your support group members. So, but yeah, we'll see how we can support that idea as well. Thank you to group 2 for that takeaway. How about group number 3? Dave, Rana, and Tracy. Ooh, powerful group there. Who's the spokesperson?
I am.
Designated note taker. Hey, Tracy, good to see you.
Yeah. So I will make this as brief as possible because I see the time. We kind of covered a broad scope of things, but with regards to feedback and things like that, I think what we discussed was the fact that we cover, so I do a lot of social media, we do in person and Zoom as well, and that each one of those, so depending on your format for your meeting, it can be challenging to get feedback and how to do that. So we talked a little bit about that. We also talked about age and generational considerations for getting feedback. Like I had suggested, David said, well, my group is a lot older and he doesn't get a lot of feedback. And I said, maybe if you're not getting feedback, it could be as simple as an open-ended question like, why are you here? Why do you come? Why do you show up all the time? And it may just be, hey, you know what? Because my friend is here and I want to sit down and have coffee with my friend. And I run an in-person support group in my local area for young onset, and that is what we do. We meet at a public coffee shop once on a Saturday morning for an hour because we just want to get together and chit chat about life. We don't want a script. So I'd say that pretty much summarizes, that part of it.
Yeah. And it's beautifully said, in my group, when someone new joins, I ask, why did you join this group? Because we want to know, what do you want to get out of this, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Are we a right fit? Because if all you want is education and we're a social group, maybe we're not a good match.
Right. Yeah. And that's a good point. Really quickly, Rona said that her group is older, but there is one young onset person there, and that person they speak different languages, right? A young onset person and a later onset person. Yeah, we do not speak the same language. We just don't, because our Parkinson's is not the same.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, Tracy. Appreciate your participation. Group 3. How about room 4? That was a big group. So Andy, John, Karen, and Judy ended up there as well. So let me guess, who's the note taker?
Well, Judy and I are going to take this. We have met several times over the years, but we were delighted to have John and Andy on with us as well. Andy's in an interesting situation. He's in Corpus Christi, Texas, where their Parkinson's community occupies 13 counties, making it difficult for people to get there. So we encouraged him there must be somebody in his group who has a facility with Zoom who can set that up at least on a trial basis to kind of grab in a few of those people who can't get there in person. We also talked about breaking into smaller groups. Some groups in their big meetings might divide it into a group of people with Parkinson's and care partners because they have different issues and they might feel uncomfortable discussing it with their partner. In our group, it's such a large group that we have small support groups specifically for people with Parkinson's, for care partners. So in those truly are support groups with maybe 10 to 12 people who can talk about their issues. But we have found in our large groups that occasionally breaking up into groups of maybe 4 or 5 people to talk about a particular issue. We had one that talked about patient-doctor communication. A lot of good information comes out of that, and it makes people feel more comfortable if they're new sometimes to be in a smaller group of people rather than a larger group of people. We also talked about the need for continuing need for help, for backup from people. I mean, none of this is irreplaceable. I mentioned that too, you know, and we travel, you know, we have health issues, you know. I don't have Parkinson's, but for many of you, as it progresses, you need more help in getting, and sometimes reaching out to the new people and, you know, getting them involved, even in a small way, but being prepared to have them say no if they don't feel at that point in their lives to take on a particular task. But we always need to be bringing in new people to take over for us. And the other thing we talked about, oh, it was interesting. Judy mentioned that you know you've done a good job when everybody seems to have frozen.
No, we're here.
You just thawed. Oh, good. She said, you know, you've done a good job when some of the survivors, the people who've lost a spouse, come back to help you. And I find it's usually one of two extremes. For the most part, after a spouse dies, the care partner doesn't want to ever hear the name Parkinson's again. They've had 10, 15, 20, 30 years. But then you'll have the occasional person who feels that this is family. These are the people that I know. These are where I get my support. And I mentioned that there's one person in our group who lost her husband with Parkinson's a couple of years ago. She is now developing a hospital advocacy program to keep people safe in the hospital. This is a potential lifesaver for people in our group. And she is working with a person in the local hospital. We're bringing somebody in from the Parkinson's Foundation to talk about their hospital safety guide. We do that anyway on a regular basis because that issue comes up again and again and again, the unfortunate experiences that people have in the hospital and how important that is. Judy, what else did we talk about? I think we covered.
Good Lord. I'm so glad I had deferred to you. That was great. We talked to John a little bit. John he's covering for someone else, so he sort of stepped in as a good example of needing help, and he was there, and so he was a little unsure of what was expected of him, and I told him nothing. There's no format that we follow. If there is a format, we probably don't follow it anyway, and you just say whatever you need to say. And so we had a good meeting with him, and I don't know if he wants to add anything. I think he does because he just unmuted himself. So John, take it.
Every time the light goes on, I get brain fog. Serious problems today with my opinion. But about the partners with the members of the group who lost their spouse, our group is probably 4 out of the 22 average people that are that category.
Really?
In fact, the group leader husband died 20 years ago. And and she's been with it ever since and lead it. Sometimes she's got help. Sometimes she doesn't. She does it all. She's getting to be like 82, I think. So, or around that age, she's probably getting tired. We don't see it, but, you know, she needs backup. So I learned a lot about dealing with that and rethinking that because she needs some help. But the group is largely a lot of people that have lost spouses, and they stick around for 1, 2, 3 years. Our group's been going for about 15 years, but in Orange, Virginia, and now in Culpeper. But it's a good group. It's diverse. It changes, and we have so many people coming in that are new with Parkinson's that we seem to have a good turnover of people. we didn't talk about this much. I'm throwing it in my last thoughts. But
Thank you.
anyway, it's a good group, and I like the format that you break into groups like this. Even that's not common for us.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to do.
Well, I guess I'm an example of that too. My father was diagnosed with Parkinson's more than 20 years ago. He was in his early 90s, and we joined a support group in upstate New York. And it was so helpful to me, to him and my mother and me, that when we moved to California in 2009, I joined the group here, and I've been with him ever since. You could not have told me 20 years ago that I'd be doing what I'm doing now. It's amazing the twists and turns that life will take, and I feel, you know, I derive so much joy and satisfaction for working with this group, and I know they appreciate what I do.
Thank you, Karen. Absolutely, we do. And thank you for sharing your story. Not many adult children stick around or step up to lead a group like you have. So, quite an inspiration. And thank you for that. Excellent group. And let's go with the last group. We have Amy join that group, but we have Kitty there. Hi, Kitty. So good to see you. And David and Karen. So, who's the note taker from that group?
Hello, I was nominated. Come up with a cure for Parkinson's, like Greg claims, but we do have a treatment. But before that, yeah, we unanimous. We love Judy because you got Dave and I together in a room, and of course we're gonna love on Judy, the speaker of the day. And it was great having Amy come in. But yeah, connection is medicine, and we really, we talked about. Once a month support group isn't enough. You need the weekly check-ins or the twice a month check-ins, and especially for somebody who might be isolated, a combination of an in-person support group and a little bit of Zoom time and this one and that one and everything else. I'm not a support group leader, but I do try to fill in those roles when people need me, from the YOPN to wherever I'm needed. And we got to talk a little bit about that. And, just like Karen was just saying about the people that have stepped up, that don't have Parkinson's, and admitting that sometimes those are the people that are learning more from the people with Parkinson's, and being open-minded to that is so important. And being able to shift and modify what you're doing as per the person coming in new, be able to modify what you're doing and meet them where they are and try to help the individual that comes in, not just address a whole group, address the individuals too. And yeah, just as many connections as you can make, without getting inundated, because there is so much online stuff going on. You could spend all day long in going from one webinar to one Zoom to one podcast to the other. And really, having you guys as a base of, okay, you guys know what you're talking about. We can trust you. YOPN, same thing. There's a lot of other people out there that they're doing great things, but sometimes it gets kind of confusing. And then, of course, it all comes back for me to yes and exercise, because that's my home tribe. And thank you, Dave, for yes anding me in that and explaining a little bit about that, and all of you for listening to that, because really, what Bradley McDaniels in Indu Submarinian, is that how you say that? Okay, what they started with their papers and their study of the psychosocial side of Parkinson's, and it being just as big, if not a bigger problem than the motor symptoms. And then Indu and Robert expanded on that in DC after the WPC conference. We're keeping that ball rolling. Yeah. And the more we get together like this and share our stories and compare notes and always be open-minded to thinking outside the box, the better we're going to be. Our voices are stronger together, and I'm just so glad to be a part of all of it. Thank you.
you so much. What a beautiful way to end today's program. Thank you so much. And that's our goal, to learn from each other, because you're the experts of your community. No community is alike. So you know what is needed, you know what you have available, and you will work with that. And always remember, our friends, the therapists, we have two with us here right now, the speech therapists. They are great resources for our support groups, and a lot of times they are support group leaders, our wellness instructors, the Rock City Boxing Dance for PD. They are great partners to be co-facilitators as well, because they know how to work with a group. So it's all about collaboration, all about working stronger, working together, because together we're stronger. So thank you everyone for being part of the monthly roundtable. We will see you next month. Any questions, you know we are here to support you. Go ahead, Judy.
Several of us want Greg to repeat the cheers thing.
Okay, cheers.
Somehow.
Go ahead. The
Sure.
pillars of your group.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Am I on? Yes. Okay.
Yep.
C is for community. What's going on in your community? Are they starting a new hospital? La da da.
Mm-hmm.
H is for any article you read that gives you hope.
Hope. Okay.
Okay. E, the first E, is for exercise. That's the great elixir. Well, if you don't know what to do with Parkinson's, just start exercising. The second E is education. What can you learn? What are the different parts of your brain? What gets impacted by Parkinson's? How would you explain Parkinson's to a non-Parkinson's participating person? R is research. What's happening in the latest world of research? Whether that's stem cells or whether that's any of those other items. And then finally, S is self-efficacy. What are you going to do? Nike says just do it. Enough for Nike, good enough for me.
Thank you, Greg. That was great. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you. We say goodbye with cheers. And thank you, Amy, for your time today. Thank you, Judy, for always being with us and for taking a chance to be a speaker today. So thank you, everyone. Hugs to all of you. Love you all. See you next month. Take care. Thank you.